Today I'm going to walk you through why you'll never be ready to retire, but you should do it anyway. Now, I know that sounds a little backwards, but stay with me because as a financial planner for over a decade, working with retirees, I have personally seen hundreds of cases where so many people never feel ready to retire, even though the numbers make sense. And every time I hear something to the extent of, I know we're close, but we're not maybe quite there, or just a little longer. I need to pad the account a little more. Or what if a really bad crash happens like 2008 or 2020? And I like to refer to this, especially when the numbers make sense, as the just one more year syndrome. Don't let that be you. Here's the truth. Waiting until you feel perfectly ready often robs you of the most valuable retirement years. And we'll dive into all the data and research of that in just a moment. But that's exactly why we're making this video today, is to help you understand why this never ready feeling is completely normal and how to recognize when you're financially actually ready, when the numbers actually make sense. You have the green light, despite just the doubt and fears that you may be occurring or experiencing. And number three, how to confidently make the leap, even if that uncertainty is still there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on into it. First things first, retirement, as I always say, is just a basic math equation. It's your guaranteed income. Things like your Social Security, pensions, part-time income, or even rental income, minus your living expenses. And if you're short, well, then that gap needs to be covered by your investments. And in just a moment, we'll dive into a simple formula for knowing how much you could spend from your investments, like the ratio, without running out of money. But let's talk about what's really going on when I hear someone that says something to the effect of, I don't really think that I'm ready to retire yet. I just don't feel confident in that. Because in most cases, it's actually not about the math. The numbers, they actually work just fine. But what's actually holding people back is their internal barriers. It's the emotional stuff. It's the stuff that doesn't show up on a spreadsheet. They could be things like psychological barriers, where retirement all of a sudden feels like a loss of an identity, and it's a loss of self and really community. Work's been your rhythm. It's what you do Monday through Friday for the past 30 to 40 years. And all of a sudden, this is a really big change. And so what do we do instead of leaning into those uncomfortable things? We do what we've always done. We just go into survival mode. It's the one more year syndrome. I'm just going to work one more year. It's safer. Or it sounds like something like, oh, once I hit $2 million, then I'll feel ready. You're actually trading in your best years for that false sense of comfort, because money it's a utility function. And there's a point in time where more money isn't always going to equate to more comfort or more happiness. Sure, that may be the case when we're in our 20s and 30s, but once we plateau and reach a certain amount, we have to sit in the discomfort that we don't need to reach for that extra dollar, but instead, we need to go the other way. We need to now trade our paycheck, our time, our energy, our Monday through Friday, our 9 to 5 for our life back, our freedom, whatever that is. And it's going to come at a cost, because what I want to share with you too is not all retirement years are created equally. The ones at the front half of the curve in your 50s and 60s are way more enjoyable in a lot of different ways physically than in your 80s or 90s. In fact, this chart here from Die with Zero confirms exactly what I'm trying to say, or the point I'm trying to make, which is your health and your net worth, they're moving in opposite directions. And at 65, sure, you have a lot more money than you did at 45, but your ability to do the same physical activities and those adventures and those hobbies, they look a little different. We're moving a little slower. And sure, you could still enjoy those same hobbies, but now we may need to adapt or adjust at the same speed that we did them in our 30s or 40s. And here's the important thing, is that does not stop or slow down in our 70s. It actually just speeds up. And so these extra years, that whether it's uncertainty, anxiety, whatever it may be that you're deciding to not retire, you're costing yourself a lot. This is the hidden cost of retirement. And so that is why we have to be so intentional with our retirement before our healthiest and most active years slip away. Understanding the psychological, emotional, even financial barriers are critical, but equally as important is recognizing those concrete, those obvious signs that you're actually ready to retire. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into now in this video, are these 6 signs that suggest you are ready for retirement. Number 1, The math adds up. Congratulations, you've run the numbers and you found out, hey, you could retire. You've run all the projections. Your income sources cover most, if not all, of your expenses. And any shortfall, it's covered by a sustainable withdrawal strategy, which we'll dive into in just a second. But you're ready for retirement. And here's the thing, retirement readiness, it's not about just hitting a magic number or reaching 65. It is just as important to be financially prepared on paper. Now, let me ask you, is this you? Your house is paid or close to it. You've saved $1 to $2 million, maybe more. You've pushed out Social Security to maximize your benefits. Your kids are grown. You're empty nesters. You're doing well. Maybe you're still maxing out your 401k at work. You're earning more than you ever have, but you're just waiting. See, retirement, it's about making your life yours again. Your number, what you're aspiring to, needs to be specific to your lifestyle. You see, we need to use real academic research, things like the Trinity Study or work by Dr. Wade Pfau and these guardrail-based plannings. And if you want more on that and want to nerd out on real spending strategies, go watch my other video called I Reviewed Every Withdrawal Strategy, and here is the best one. I say retirement, it's two basic math equations. The first one is, what do we have coming in minus our living expenses? And these are sources of income like your pension, Social Security, part-time income, rental income minus what we need to live off of. Any amount we're short needs to come, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, from our investments. And when we take that number, here's math equation number 2, we take that number that we need and we divide it by our total investment portfolio balance, that gives us a percentage or a ratio. And when we look at the Trinity Study here, we could see, depending on if we want a shorter retirement, maybe 20, 25 years, we want to retire later, we could spend more. If we want a longer retirement, 30, 35, 40 years, well, we're going to have to spend a little less to give our portfolio breathing room to adjust. And so what we'll see here on the chart is that we want to stay somewhere between that 3 to 5% range. Now, the one caveat, and I say a lot of times in my videos, the thing I don't like about this study is it assumes that we're going to spend the exact same amount every year. We know that's not the case. We're going to spend a lot more in our 50s, 60s, and 70s than we will in our 80s and 90s. We might see expenses towards the back half of our life for health insurance or out-of-pocket long-term care costs spike up. But by and large, we're going to do a majority of our spending in the earlier years. And so these studies suggest that we spend the exact same amount, which is not the case. But point being, rather than using some arbitrary number like 15x our income or 2 million by 65, understanding our withdrawal rates and staying in this time-tested threshold of the 3 to 5.5% range, depending on how we manage our assets, conservative, aggressive, or somewhere in between, and what we're spending year to year can give us that cheat code to tell us, hey, we're on track and we're okay. So again, if you run these numbers and the numbers work, you are good to go. Now it just becomes the more difficult part, which is sitting with that and saying, can I give myself permission to spend? Can I give myself permission to retire? The second sign is your mindset shift. You get the Sunday scaries halfway through Sunday afternoon where you're like, man, I really just don't want to go to work, and it starts to consume you. Guess what? That's a sign. And this is when it's not always just about the numbers. You see, and this is where we need to get creative, is it getting a part-time job until we get to 65 or 67 to cover health insurance or to get us to Social Security age? So we can't let arbitrary retirement milestones dictate our retirement timeline. Things like, oh, I have to wait till 67, or I should do this, or I can't take my money out till this. Yes, the numbers have to work, but this is where I want to challenge you. Let's make a change. Get creative. And side note, this is what we're here for. We love getting a chance to sit down, run the numbers, be creative. And so if you have questions of how can I pull this retirement thing off, go ahead and click on the link in the description below, and we will send you a free retirement analysis. We'll spend some time going through your numbers together to help get you exactly to where you want to be. Number 3, let's try test driving. I love this one. This one's actually one of my favorites, and this is where creativity really gets to shine. In test driving, we say, let's give retirement a test drive and see what field study, what our results actually come back with. Try taking a week off and pretend you're retired and journal. What do you notice? What things come up? What are you going to do with your time? Is it, I'm going to tee off at 6 a.m. and get 18 or 36 holes in. I'm going to go surf. I'm going to go volunteer. And so this is the challenge. It's a nice exercise to say, how would we use that time? The fourth sign, and this is a good one. This is just the story of life. You've reached the top of the mountain. You achieved what you set out to do. And whether that's hitting a number on an account, reaching a certain level in your career, healthy family, you've raised kids, you're empty nesters, and everything has gone right. And it's okay. It's natural for those seasons, those chapters to come to an end. And now it's time to pursue something else and find something that brings you joy, purpose, and fulfillment. So if you find yourself at the top of your career and you're saying, hey, I think I'm good, that is another sign. The next one is realizing that retirement, it is about trading your paycheck, your time, your energy for more freedom. You get more of your life back, and that's a trade-off. Right? We're not going to have as much money coming in, but we now have that freedom. And so time, money, energy, health, attention, these are all limited resources. And so as we trade one for another, we have to figure out in this new season, which one are we going to prioritize? This is why the book Die with Zero is so powerful and challenging our traditional retirement mindset to get us to instead focus more on intentional spending. How do we create alignment and that meaningful life full of memories and experiences instead of just accumulating more wealth? And this leads me to point number 6, which is also happens to be covered in the book. And that is, let's not wait until it's too late. You see, these retirement readiness indicators that we've mentioned, they're powerful, but perhaps the most compelling reason to retire when you're financially ready to and not waiting any longer is the high cost of waiting too long. In fact, I want to tell you a story about real clients of mine, change their names here. We'll call them Mark and Susie, and they spent 5 years debating the timing of their retirement. And if you can guess it, it was one spouse that dragged their feet. You see, Susie was ready to retire, but it was Mark who showed up every single meeting, not ready. You see, they had the money, their plan was solid. Every which way we ran it, they were ready to retire, but every review meeting when we went to bring up the topic of retirement, without fail, I would hear, this was from Mark, hey, just one more year. Just till we get to this. And this was 5 years. We went back and forth. And unfortunately, 5 years into this, we found out that Susie got a surprise diagnosis. And she was going to be okay, but it was a rare and early onset arthritis. And suddenly what Susie was now able to do physically had changed. That bucket list trip through the Camino de Santiago in Spain, that's off the table. The month-long road trip with the grandkids, gone, off the table. And listen, this is not to scare you. It's to bring it back into alignment. It's to ask, what are the things in your life that are irreplaceable? What are things that you can't afford to sacrifice by waiting for that perfect moment? It's how many active and healthy retirement years are you giving up by sitting at that desk or waiting one more year? By the time we're in our 70s, we may still be able to do some of those same hobbies, but they take more out of us. And so the longer we delay, the narrower our window becomes to really do the things that we've been waiting and working so hard for. This is the things that a lot of advisors don't talk about. These are the things, the intangible that don't show up on a balance sheet. It takes courage to stop saving and start spending. It takes courage to break from the routine, to walk away from your identity as you knew it as a worker, a provider. But guess what? There are always ways to make this easier. As I mentioned, try test driving a retirement or taking the next logical steps. Setting a real deadline helps. Talking about it. Having something on the outside, having something outside of work to look forward to. And if you want a second set of eyes, that's what we're here for. Click on the link in the description below, fill out the survey, tell us a little bit more about what you're going through, what you need help solving, and we'll send you back a personalized Loom video telling you more about the process, how we could help you arrive at some of those solutions. Hope you enjoyed this video. You found it to be informative. Again, it's an honor to be a part of your retirement journey, and we'll see you in the next video.